Back we come on Frogs today, and you think about over our tenure here at TCU, we're running some great players and coaches and fans, but there are a few that kind of stand out. And they stand out for different reasons personalities, maybe games or events that took place that remind you of them. This guy, to me, it's a whole bunch of things. One, it's the name. Two, it's the smile. Three, it's the way that he played. And four, it's the great career that he's had since he left here. If you would, please welcome on our Where Are They Now segment, the great Bingo Merriex joining us right now. Bingo, how are you, man?
I'm doing well. How you
Good
doing?
to see you.
Good to see you too.
Glad you're here, man.
Thanks for having me.
So I was trying to add this up because it's been 20 years since
Right.
you and I've known each other.
Right.
17, 18 in pro ball. How long was it?
That's 17 years professional.
17 years.
Right.
Because if you look up the average tenure of a professional basketball player, it's like 3.
Right. Right.
How did you make it 17?
Man, it was just the grace of God, and definitely that He covered me through everything I've been through out there. To be able to play that long and to not have any major injuries, I think that was just the biggest. And then just to take care of my body and just love the game. You got to have a passion for the game, And I think, starting to play at 8 years old, and then just to keep on going, like through college, and then to be able to play professionally, tried out for the NBA, it didn't work out that way, but then to be able to have a career overseas definitely was fun. It was a good ride.
The one thing I remember is it didn't matter if it was practice or a game. If you were playing basketball, you were smiling.
Right.
That's your happy place.
It is. It really is. And I think my dad and my granddad, they were smilers a lot, and it's hereditary.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I love joking,
Yeah.
hanging out with the guys, and just being silly. I think that's what it's about, And then when you get out there on the court, you forget everything else that's going on outside because you're there for a purpose. And that purpose is to play basketball and have fun with it.
Well,
Be entertainers.
And you were entertained a lot of folks for 17 years in pro ball. You mentioned overseas predominantly. Can you give us the order of where all you played in order?
I can do it in order. I might miss a little bit,
Okay.
but I know I started Lebanon, Philippines, Italy, China, Germany, over to France, back to Germany, Belgium, back to France, back to Belgium. Then you got, Ukraine. Then from Ukraine, Turkey. And after Turkey, I spent 6 years in Japan.
In Japan.
Yeah.
So what was of all those stops, and that's awesome. You got to see the world, man. What was your favorite?
Well, if you ask young Bingo, Italy was my favorite
Yeah.
because I love the food there, and the women was definitely beautiful
Right,
there. So
right.
that there was definitely like, oh, wow. But as I started to get older, I think Germany and Japan became my favorite just because of just the history and just the people there were definitely welcoming. And so it was more like a family home feel because the fans was definitely more catering to the athletes because we was away from home.
Right.
So you over there 9, 10 months out of the year, you can get lonely. And so to develop the friendship that I developed, it was definitely made it, easier to be there.
Did you plug in? I mean, did you or because I think I know the answer to this from knowing you, but did you kind of embrace the culture and try to learn about it? And
I did.
I figured you would.
Like I said, at first, first being over there, you're young, so
Yeah.
you don't know what to expect. So you go hang out at clubs, bars, and stuff like that,
Right.
just kind of experiencing that. But then the more that you kind of see things, sightseeing and everything like that, you find it interesting. And then, just me, I feel like I've never met a stranger.
Yeah.
So when I'm going over there, even because happiness and, smiling is an emotion, it doesn't really have to be a language.
Yeah.
So a lot of the guys that didn't speak English, just being there, just being on the court with them or going out to eat with them, just using your body language a lot also kind of was my language over there.
That makes total sense, man. I wonder, and you don't have to tell me you particularly, but of all those stops, which paid the best?
Definitely. Well, in the earlier years, it was Europe because Asia. They wasn't like there wasn't a respect for Asia because the Asian people were really small
Right.
and everything like that. And you think of the Europeans, so that's where they were paying the best.
Right.
Now in the latter years, everything towards the end of my career, the Asian countries start paying better. So
Right.
you got your Philippines, you got China, and you have Japan. They definitely pay the athletes better nowadays.
Give me some sense of the crowds. Like, I mean, would there be thousands of people at games?
It would be. It would be. My first experience when I was in Lebanon, the first tournament I went to, it was real crowd. I say it was probably about between 700 to 900 people there.
Yeah.
And it's filled. And so when I walk into the arena, it's smoky because they was allowed to smoke in there.
Right.
And so I guess a guy was getting rowdy, and so we're coming in, the team's already playing, and so I got my bag in there. The security is carrying this guy out and kind of like hitting him with his stick and everything, and I'm looking like, whoa, what did I walk into? And my coach, he was American. He was from California.
Uh-huh.
And so the first thing he said to me is like, welcome to overseas basketball. I was looking like, oh, man. But I think that the crowd, the energy in there would just, it would push you to want to play, and they love basketball over there. You'd be surprised how many, like, people just come out to watch games and everything of that nature.
Who was the best player you saw overseas that you played against?
The best player I saw was probably Chris Copeland. He was a talent. I mean, he could score the basketball.
Played in the NBA,
he played
so.
in the Pacers, and he
Yep.
played with New York.
Yep.
And you could just see that he was definitely a great player. I also played against Justin Holiday, the middle
Yep.
Holiday brother.
Yep.
And he was a good talent as well. And I think in the first part of my career, older guys I'd have to think of was maybe Sean Lampley.
Okay.
He played at California.
Yep.
And he was also a good player over there.
What was the strangest food that you ever ate? Because you were in some different places.
I was in China, and you think about like, well, the stereotype is like they eat dog, they eat cat over there, right? And so in China, in the early parts of the 2000s, they wasn't really like speaking English like that. So I had to have a translator everywhere I went. So we went out to this restaurant. I guess my translator had to use the restroom, so he left me sitting with my teammates. And one of my teammates on the team, he could speak English a little bit, young guy. He was, learning how to speak and taking courses.
Right.
So he put a plate over to me, and it's like this slimy, like it looked like ground beef, but it looked really different.
Yeah.
And so he's like, yes, try this, this is good. And so when I was going to try it a little bit, my translator comes back. I was like, no, don't eat this. This is dog. And so they all started laughing.
Right.
And I'm looking around like, I don't know if it was a joke or not.
Right.
But I almost ate it.
Yeah.
But I didn't.
You got that close.
Yeah, I got real close. And
Yeah.
I think like the texture of foods was definitely the weirdest thing that I had experienced over in the Asian countries.
If there was one sightseeing, and by the way, Al, our producer, wants me to wrap up soon.
Okay.
I'm not doing this. This is too good, Al. I'm
Okay.
just telling you right now. Bingo's too good. We're gonna be here a while. If there's one sightseeing thing that you want to do, what would you tell somebody?
I would tell some, like, if you're going by yourself, just like with the guys or anything like that, you definitely will, like in Japan, they have a lot of like the gladiator type fields, like arenas and like temples and stuff you can go to see, and like in kind of like the what do you call it, like the Phoenix,
Yes.
like those type of sites. If you're going with your significant other, I would say like Italy, France, those places, you go there because you can really feel the love there as far as like when you go to Rome or
Right.
when you go on like the boat and seeing everything like that. I think that would be really nice.
Think about this. We're having a conversation. You and I, two small town boys. You're from Wichita Falls.
Right.
Who would have thought that coming out of Wichita Falls, coming to TCU, that here we are 20 years later, and you're telling us all the great worldly destinations that we
Right.
need to go to. It's been a great run,
It's
man.
been great. Me and my mom was just talking for Mother's Day, and she was just telling me about just how long my tenure was playing overseas, and then like every year, I think for like the first 7 to 10 years, she hadn't seen me play since I, been at TCU. And so she got to come to Germany. So
Yeah.
for the longest, she was always saying like, you don't have to play because of your dad, or you don't have to play because you think somebody, will say something. She said, you can retire. I said, no, Ma, I love playing. So she came to Germany for the first, because she never flown, and
Right.
she never flown that far. So you can imagine going 10 hours on
Yeah.
a plane to Germany. She was very nervous. But when she got there, she was like, it was like an apartment on a plane. Like they served me peanuts and everything like that. So she had a good time on the plane. So that was good. So when she got there and seen me play, and this was like I was 32, 33, and I had a 25 and 12 that game.
All right.
And so after the game, she just came up and hugged me. She's like, "Yo, you can actually play basketball." I was like, "Well, thanks, Mom. I appreciate that."
Where you been?
Yeah. So I just think in that, man, it's just, man, God has been good. It's
Yeah.
been a blessing to be able to play that long and to be effective as well, too.
Well, think about it. It all started with Billy Tubbs back here at TCU.
Yeah.
We lost Coach Tubbs this past year.
Yes, yes.
I know how close you guys were. I know I miss him. I miss him
Yeah.
every day still.
Yeah, for sure. The last time I really had a conversation with Coach Tubbs, he was still the same, still crazy, and it's just still joking. And the story that I tell everybody, because everybody asks me, "Why did you go to TCU?" And when I sat down with Coach Tubbs and he came into my home, he said, "I can make TCU as far as you want it to be from Wichita Falls, or I can make it as close." And what I understood with that is like, because he knew I was family oriented.
Right.
And so I didn't want to go too far away from home. But he was saying, like, I can have some practices. I can have you locked up and you won't get to go home. But if you need to go home, I can send you there too.
Yeah.
And so just that style of basketball and just his, the way he was and his energy, I think I got a lot of that as well from him and his personality.
Because he loved practice and he
man.
loved games.
Yes,
and
sure.
that was his happy place.
Right, right.
Much like you. All right, where are they now is kind of what we call this segment. And just so folks know, you are back in Fort Worth.
Right.
I'm so happy about this. Tell folks what you're doing.
Well, now I'm going back to school to finish my degree.
Yep.
And I'm 19 hours away. So I started yesterday, actually. May 9th is when I started. And so now I'm on the process of finishing my degree.
That is awesome, man. And then what will you do after that?
I'm still trying to decide. I think I have a little time to kind of figure that out a little bit. And I think when the pandemic started, that kind of got me to brainstorm, because when you're playing, you don't really, you think about, I might want to do this, I might not want to do this, but you're playing and you're just in the game. And so when it actually comes, it's like, all right, now those ideas that you brainstorm, you have to really start thinking about.
Yeah,
so,
I get a sense that we'll see you around Coach Dixon in the program a little bit.
For sure. I'm going to help them out
I'm
as
glad
far
of
as the
that.
big guys and everything. Just kind of, give them knowledge and just my little wisdom that I may have
Right.
to help them along the way.
Right. But we didn't even mention that he was part of the Fort Worth Funk.
Definitely.
We didn't get into that,
Yeah,
but
that
we'll
was
talk
good.
about that in the future.
Okay.
You can be our Fort Worth Funk analyst.
I can do that for sure. I think they're going to have a good team
I
this
think
year.
they are too,
And
man.
a lot of the guys that tried out and a lot of the guys that they're bringing back. And then, we had a year under our belts.
Yeah.
That first year last summer, it was kind of tough. We didn't know what to expect.
Yeah.
And then at the end, you're like, oh, well, we can actually win this game. 'Cause,
Right.
people didn't expect us to do that well. And so to actually do that, I think it'll be a better showing this summer.
Can you come back again?
I can.
Yeah, especially when we get into basketball season. I'd love to visit with you more and kind of
For
pick your
sure.
brain about stuff.
I would love to do
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
You know what? You're one of my faves, man.
Thank you.
I'm
Thank
glad-
you.
I'm
I
glad you
really
came by.
enjoyed you. And I remember we were playing against Fresno.
Yeah.
And I think they were ranked maybe 16, 17, something like that. And I don't know if you remember, I went up for the tip dunk, and when I came down and I started dancing, and you called it the bingo shuffle, the horn frog shuffle.
Yeah.
And that always sticks with me. And my cousin laughs about that because he remembers you saying that.
Can you still
during the
dance?
game. I don't know.
Yeah,
I might have to stretch a little bit.
All right,
now.
it sounds good.
Yeah.
Bingo Merriex, thank you much for coming by here in our
Thanks for having
Where
me.
Are They Now segment.